It is a method of causing pain as if your bones and muscles are being warped. And the third option is to take this sword and cut off his hand. Roman said that if Kevin is able to endure it until the end, then he will become stronger faster than anyone else. Roman remembered that even the mad demon, who didn't even know martial arts, was able to become one of the 4 heavenly kings with only his will. Roman then asked Kevin about his choice out of the 3 options. Kevin then remembered his life. He was born in a wrecked shack outside the Dmitri castle. Since little, he had to work in order to survive. But later he realized that the strong always take from the weak. That's why he couldn't forget what he saw, that overwhelming strength. Kevin then picked up the sword and said that he will cut his arm. He then attacked his arm with his own hand. Meanwhile, Chris was thinking that he left the night order to follow Master Roman, but he decides to go into isolation for a week. He then reached outside Roman's room, where Hans told him that Master Roman is with a boy named Kevin. Inside the room, Kevin has cut his arm and gets unconscious. After a while, Hans asked Roman if he is fine, as there's blood all over the blade. But Roman smiled and said that there's nothing to worry about as it's not his blood. In reality, when Kevin was about to cut his hand off, Roman put him in an illusion. Charm of the illusion demon. And while he was trying to test Kevin in an illusion, for a short period of time, Kevin swung down his wrist before he fell into the illusion. Roman smiled, as if the spell was even a little bit weaker, then Kevin might have even cut off his entire hand. Now there's 2 weeks until the party, and 6 months until the war, so Roman's smile deepened, as there's a lot to teach them. The next day, Kevin was shocked to know that Roman is about to teach him a mana cultivation technique. Though Roman said that it's a mana cultivation technique, but in reality it's a martial art that the mad demon used. It's called the demonic spirit art. It's an art that causes demonic energy to eat away the user's mind, while allowing them to display power under extreme pain. And even under that extreme pain, they must not lose their mind. The mad demon, to become a sword that was of use to Roman, learned this martial art under extreme pain. Roman thought that if Kevin has the will to cut off his hand, then he's capable of learning it. Roman said that there is one reason why he is teaching him this technique. It can be learned by someone who doesn't know the basics of mana, and with this, Kevin can gain the strength to protect everyone. Kevin said that he is very grateful to Roman for everything and asked, why is Roman trusting him? Roman just smiled and said they will start the training tomorrow. And while he was leaving, Roman said to Kevin that he will never betray him, because once he gets stronger, he will realize just how dangerous it is to betray the heavenly demon. The next day, Roman was training Kevin with the sword, while Chris was sitting in a corner. Chris was confused why Roman is teaching swordsmanship to a kid instead of him. He thought that he would get stronger if he just followed Roman, but Roman is not even looking at him. But still, he decided to wait for Roman to look at him. And just like that, 3 days passed, and he angrily went close to Roman. Chris said to Roman that it's already been over 2 weeks since he decided to follow him, but Roman didn't teach him anything. Roman replied that he already told him that he need to learn by observing. Roman said that everyone has their own way of learning. Since Kevin knows nothing, so Roman needs to guide him from the beginning. But as Roman already defeated Chris, so he will just blindly follow his teaching without understanding it. Roman then gave a wooden sword to Chris and told him to battle Kevin. Roman said that Kevin will be his proxy and he will advise Kevin in defeating him. And if Chris still thinks that he is correct after the duel, then Roman will teach him personally. And as soon as the match began, Chris dashed toward Kevin and throw him away with a single strike. Chris tried to scare Kevin by saying that his next attack will split Kevin's head open, but to his threat, Kevin laughed and told him to attack. Suddenly, Kevin heard a voice telling him to guard his front with the sword, as Chris will attempt a surprise attack. Chris attacked Kevin, but Kevin was able to block the attack. The voice then told him to take 1 step to the side and aim for Chris' chest. Kevin tried to take the step, but his body was not trained enough to follow the commands, so he get kicked by Chris. Kevin realized that the voice he is hearing is of Master Roman. Roman said that this is a method used to deliver sound through mana, and he will give him instructions with this. Roman then tell him to throw his body to the right. He did the same and managed to dodge Chris' attack. He then turns around and aimed for Chris' left chest. But Chris dodged the attack and kicked him again. Chris was confused as Kevin is holding better than he expected. Even with the commands, Kevin was losing, but a smile appeared on his face. Kevin thought that even though Chris is a 2-star knight, he's moving exactly as Master Roman says. Young Master Roman is controlling him like a puppet and is just toying with him. Chris was confused as Kevin was narrowly avoiding critical moments and even counterattacking. Kevin now understands Roman's true power and was happy to serve Roman. He concluded that if someone like him wants to become his sword, then the only answer is his willpower. Angered by Kevin, Chris dashed toward him with full power. But to Chris' surprise, Kevin steps forward and attacked Chris with all might. But Chris dodged the attack, just like Roman did in his fight, and defeated Kevin. Roman then said to Chris now that he won the fight, so he will teach him from tomorrow. After a while, Chris was inside his room, thinking why did he decide to fight. The last maneuver, it was similar to when he dueled Roman for the first time. He thought that if he didn't have that experience with Roman, then he couldn't have defeated Kevin. He smiled and thinks that he has grown from just that one experience. The next day, Chris tells Roman that he doesn't want any teachings. He will look for a way to get stronger by following Roman. And just like that, 1 week passed and the day of the social party came. A week before the social party, everyone gets to know that Roman Dimitri's marriage with the Lawrence family was broken. But everyone thinks that the Lawrences broke the engagement after taking a look at Roman. And if they broke the engagement when the war with Barco is so near, that means the eldest son of Dimitri is worse than the rumors. Meanwhile, Anthony Barco was happy that his plan is going smoothly. At present, Roman was confused whether he should really wear this dress or not. Hans said that this is his first official gathering since disengagement, so he will not let him wear just anything. And in front of Hans' emotional face, Roman accepted his request. Outside, Chris is wondering why Kevin is late. Suddenly, Kevin came running to him and was wearing loose armor. He explained to Chris that even in the smithy, there wasn't any armor that fit him. Chris then explained Kevin that they are both their liege's escorts, as well as the face of Dimitri, so their reputation lies in their action. To which Kevin replied that he will keep that in mind. Meanwhile, inside the Barco's residence, everyone was talking about Roman Dimitri. They all thought that even though the Dimitri's family is the powerhouse of the Northeast, their position has gotten quite ambiguous because of Roman. While everyone was making fun of Roman, the butler announced that the eldest son of Dimitri has arrived. And as soon as Roman entered the hall, everyone gets shocked to see him. A beautiful girl went close to Roman and introduced herself as Sophia of the Grisel family. Roman greeted her with a smile and even talked about her family's history. Actually, before coming to this party, Roman has memorized about the Northeast families and their legacies. And now, Roman is using that knowledge to change his reputation among the families. Suddenly, the butler came close to Roman and informed him that the young master has invited him into the back room. Meanwhile, outside the venue, the place was brimming with the other family's knight escorts. Chris told Kevin to stand straight and remove his helmet, as it is too big for him. Barco family's knights noticed this and laughed at him. They insulted Kevin as he can't even hold a sword properly. They also insulted Roman, which angered Kevin. Roman went inside the room and see Anthony Barco waiting for him. Roman noticed the traces of people and concluded that if Anthony made them leave, then he has some secret to tell him. And to know that secret, Roman tried to be friendly with Anthony. Anthony then asked Roman what he was thinking when he pushed into a political marriage with Flora Lawrence with their friendship on the line, and were caught sleeping with his cousin in the back room. Anthony said now that Roman cancelled the marriage with Flora, so that means Roman accepted his proposal. Anthony smiled and said, let's discuss his marriage with the Barco family. And as soon as Roman heard Anthony's words, the memory of that scene returned to him. When Roman came to meet Anthony last time, he was with his cousin Emily Barco. At that time, Anthony told Roman that the Barcos are not interested in Lawrence's anymore, and made Roman drinks a lot. And the next day, when Roman woke up, he found himself sleeping with Anthony's cousin. Anthony entered the room in anger and put the blame for everything on Roman. He said now that Roman laid hands on a lady of Barco, so now he has to marry someone from the Barco family to restore their relationship. And if Roman agreed to this, then he will quell his rage and forgive him. So now, everything is clear to Beak. Roman didn't have the confidence to face his father's rage, and he couldn't defame Flora, whom he truly loved, so he chose to end his life. But the man in front of Anthony is not that weak-willed Roman, but the heavenly demon Beak Junghak. He tells Anthony that just for this reason, he will not accept this political marriage. But Anthony angrily told him that this is not a choice because if Roman refuses, then he will expose him. But Roman replied that he told him several times that the Dmitri family has no need to accept the Barco family proposal for such a pathetic reason. Anthony tried to threaten Roman again, but Roman said that he doesn't care as he's already called a moron, so nothing will change from 1 or 2 more rumors. He then tell Anthony to conduct himself properly. Roman said that he broke the marriage of his own accord, not because of his threat. But since the Dmitri has turned their back on Lawrence's, then Barco's wish has been more or less fulfilled. He then threatened Anthony that if he does not behave, then he will help the Lawrence family to interfere with the Barco family, just to relieve his personal grudge against him. Roman said that he already knows that the Barco family's power comes only from the central government. But if they consider the wealth and power, the true powerhouse of the Northeast is not Barco but Dmitri. Unable to do anything, Anthony quickly apologized and asked Roman to wrap up this matter. And after Roman left, Anthony realized that Roman has changed in not only his face, but also in his actions, gaze and the way he speaks. He realized that Roman is no longer the moron he used to know, but a completely different person. Meanwhile, as Roman was leaving, he heard Kevin's voice. He then noticed Kevin, who was on the ground, while the other knights were laughing at him. When Roman was inside, the knights insulted him, so Kevin asked the knight to take back what he said. One knight called Roman a moron, so Kevin tried to punch him, but get beaten instead. Though Chris could easily defeat the knights, he stopped as the man was a knight of Barco. Chris thought that if he caused a mess here, then this will be a problem for the entire Dmitri family. At present, Kevin looked at the knight and insulted him by calling him a thug. This angered the knight as he dashed toward Kevin and was about to attack him. But suddenly, someone grabbed his hand. That someone was none other than Roman Dmitri himself. He looked at the knight and slapped him. The knight was confused as he couldn't even react to Roman's slap. Roman called him a moron and slapped him again. Before the knight could even react, Roman continuously slapped him and threw him on the ground. Meanwhile, Anthony was in his room, thinking just what happened to Roman. But suddenly, his butler came and informed him that Roman is beating his knight. Outside, the knight was begging in front of Roman and promised to never do it again. Kevin and Chris suggest Roman to stop, or it will ruin his relationship with the Barco family. Suddenly, everyone heard Anthony's voice, asking what is the meaning of this. Anthony angrily told Roman to apologize for beating his knight. But Roman looked at Anthony and asked, why should he apologize? He looked at the knight and said that this man slandered him and laid hands on a person of Dmitri. But Anthony said that even though what the knight did is wrong, but Roman still crossed the line. But Roman replied that Anthony need to keep his action in check or else his personal grudge can destroy theirs as well as their family's relationship. He went close to Anthony and asked him to decide what he wants to do. Anthony knows that if he even said a word, then Roman will help the Lawrence family in the upcoming war. So Anthony smiled and said that even he would have given the same punishment to the knight. Roman then went close to the knight and knocked him down with a slap. The previous Roman was a moron who was disrespected, even as part of the Dmitri family. But everyone who was present there had no choice but to acknowledge one fact, that the moron they knew no longer existed. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.